Dream of the Red Chamber Chapter 44.
The birthday girl is Wang Shifeng, or Fengjie. She's the phoenix, the manager of the household.
Usually the sharpest, most terrifyingly capable person in any room.
But today, the matriarch, Grandmother Jia, has issued a decree.
And the wording of this decree is so telling. Grandmother Jia says that Fengjie must be celebrated. She wants Fengjie to experience a day of painful enjoyment.
Painful enjoyment. That is such a loaded phrase.
It is. It's an oxymoron that perfectly captures the vibe. The argument is that because Fengjie works herself to the bone all year, today she has to sit in the seat of honor. Everyone, from the mistresses down to the lowest servants, is ordered to wait on her.
Which sounds great in theory. Put your feet up, let us serve you.
But in practice, it's a command performance. It means she's not allowed to relax. She has to perform happiness and gratitude relentlessly. It's actually more work than her day job.
So the scene is set. The family is watching a play. The Thorn Hairpin. Now, I usually kind of gloss over the plays within the story, but the notes here suggest we shouldn't skip this one.
Definitely not. The choice of play is never accidental in this book. They're watching a scene where a man goes to a river to sacrifice to his wife's spirit.
And right in the middle of this, we get this fascinating little critique from Lin Daiyu.
Yeah, she's always the one to cut through the noise. She's watching this actor weeping by the river, and she turns to Bao Chai and basically dismantles the logic of it. She says, all water under heaven flows from one source.
What's she getting at with that?
She's arguing against the need for location. You don't have to go to a specific riverbank to mourn. If all water is connected, you can weep over a bowl of water in your room. And it's the same thing. Her line is, viewing the object leads to thoughts of the person.
It's a very intellectual way of looking at emotion.
It is. But notice the contrast. While Daiyu is having this quiet, high-minded moment, what's everyone else doing?
They're getting hammered.
Precisely. The rest of the clan is gearing up for what creates the disaster. The drinking.
And this isn't just casual social drinking. This sounds like, I don't know, aggressive, weaponized toasting.
It absolutely is. This is where the painful part of painful enjoyment really kicks in. Grandmother Jia orders Fengjie to the top seat, and then the toasts begin.
I was struck by the interaction with Yushi, her cousin-in-law.
Oh, that's a power move disguised as a joke. Yushi drags her to the chair and says something like, I have no money for a gift, so I offer you this wine. And then she adds, if you don't drink this, you'll have to kneel down to show your filial piety.
Kneel down. That's incredibly intense for a birthday toast.
It highlights the tension, right? Even in jest, the language is about submission. And once the family starts, the servants pile on.
Right. The floodgates open, the nannies come up, and then Yuan Yang steps in. Now, Yuan Yang is a maid, but she's the grandmother's chief maid, which makes her a supermaid.
She's basically a proxy for the matriarch. She holds immense soft power. When Fengjie tries to decline a drink, Yuan Yang actually scolds her. She says, don't put on airs. If you don't drink with us, you're looking down on us.
That's a trap. You can't say no to her in front of the grandmother.
You can't. It's peer pressure weaponized by the class structure. So Fengjie has to down cup after cup. The text is clear. She is thoroughly intoxicated. And this is crucial. The Fengjie we see next is not the calculated strategist we know. She's drunk.
Okay, so the pressure cooker is whistling. Fengjie feels the wine surging up. Her heart is thumping. She excuses herself to go home.
And here's where the genre shifts. We leave the bright, loud party, and we move into these quiet, shadowy corridors. Fengjie is stumbling back, supported by her loyal confidant, Pinger.
And then she spots something. A little maid from her own house standing guard.
Now, protocol is everything. If a servant sees their mistress, they should bow. But this girl sees Fengjie and immediately turns and runs away.
Which is the reddest of red flags.
Massive. Even through the alcohol fog. Fengjie knows this is wrong. Why run unless you're hiding something? She and Pinger call out to the girl, who eventually has to come back.
And this interrogation sequence, Fengjie just goes from 0 to 100.
It's brutal. She orders the maid to kneel, threatens to have the boys beat her with ropes. The maid tries to lie, of course.
A terrible lie. And Fengjie's reaction is to slap her until her face swells. But then she threatens to use a red-hot branding iron to burn her mouth.
It just shows the sheer terror Fengjie inspires. But the maid is also terrified of what she's guarding. So Fengjie escalates. She pulls a hairpin from her head and threatens to stab the maid with it.
And that breaks her. The maid spills the secret.
And it is not small news. The secret is that Jia Lian, Fengjie's husband, is home. He's opened the family chests and taken silver, hairpins, and satin.
And he hasn't taken them to go shopping.
No. He has given them to Mrs. Bauer.
The wife of a servant in the household.
Correct. So while Fengjie is being forced to drink at her own party, Jillian has brought a servant's wife into their marital bed and is paying her with family money.
It's the ultimate betrayal. It's financial theft, adultery, and a violation of her territory all at once.
And on her birthday, he's banking on the fact that she's stuck at the party.
So Fengjie is furious. She rushes toward her courtyard, and then she sees another lookout.
Right. This second maid tries a different tactic. She runs toward Fengjie, pretending she was just coming to report the situation.
But Fengjie's too smart for that, even drunk. She sees right through it, slaps the girl, and creeps up to the window to listen.
And this eavesdropping scene is just devastating. She hears Mrs. Bauer and Jillian laughing. And then Mrs. Bauer asks, "When will that king of hell wife of yours die? Then things will be fine."
King of hell wife. Wow. That shows you how she's perceived.
And Jillian doesn't defend her. He just says a new wife might be just as bad. So Mrs. Bauer suggests he promote Pinger to the main wife position.
Okay, we have to pause here. Because Pinger's standing right there, next to Fengjie outside the window. They are hearing this together.
Exactly, and this is the turning point. Jillian replies to the suggestion. He complains that Fengjie doesn't let him touch Pinger anymore. He claims Pinger is full of grievances against Fengjie, but dares not speak. He calls Fengjie a yakshini, a flesh-eating demon.
So he is effectively framing Pinger. He's painting a picture where Pinger is his secret ally.
He's co-opting her into his betrayal. And in Fengjie's drunken, paranoid state, she believes it. She thinks, my husband is cheating, the other woman wants me dead, and my loyal assistant is actually laughing at me behind my back.
It breaks her reality, which explains the next part, the part that shocks most readers. She kicks the door open, but she doesn't attack the husband first.
No.
She doesn't even attack the other woman first.
She turns around and slaps Pinger.
Why? Pinger hasn't done anything. She's literally just standing there holding her up.
This is the core psychological insight of the chapter. It's misdirected rage. Attacking Jillian is dangerous. Attacking the other woman is necessary. But the betrayal she imagines from Pinger hurts the most.
So she strikes the ally.
She strikes the safest target. Pinger is her servant. It's an immediate physical vent for her rage. She slaps Pinger, calls her a traitor, and then storms in.
The scene inside becomes total chaos.
Fengjie is tearing at Mrs. Bauer, screaming, "You whore! You steal the master's husband and want to kill the master's wife."
But she doesn't stop punishing Pinger.
No, she turns back and hits her again, accusing her of being complicit.
And poor Pinger, she's literally the punching bag here. She starts crying and cursing the adulterers, shouting, "You do your dirty business, why pull me into it?"
She's desperate. Now look at Jillian. A minute ago, he was drunk and happy. Now he's been ambushed. At first, the text says he's ashamed.
Shame usually makes people retreat.
Usually. But then he sees the chaos. And he sees Pinger getting involved in the scuffle.
And how does he interpret that?
He sees it as his authority collapsing. His shame curdles into anger. He needs to save face. So what does he do? He starts kicking Pinger too.
Unbelievable. So she's being beaten by the wife for being a traitor.
Yeah.
And beaten by the husband for being uppity.
He calls her a whore and asks, "You act up and hit people too." He's projecting his guilt onto her.
Pinger is completely wronged. She is being physically assaulted by both of them for the crime of just existing near them.
The injustice is overwhelming, and for a servant like her, there's no court of appeal, so she runs to find a knife.
A knife. It escalated to a suicide attempt that fast.
That's how high the stakes are. Suicide, in this context, is a form of protest. I will die to prove my innocence.
Does seeing this snap Fengjie out of her rage? Does she realize she's pushed it too far?
No, and that's the tragedy. Paranoia interprets everything as a threat. She sees the suicide attempt as manipulation.
She thinks it's a bluff.
Exactly. Fengjie charges into Jillian's arms, literally headbutting him, and screams for him to strangle her. "You're all in it together to harm me. Now that I've caught you, you try to scare me with suicide."
She is pushing the system to its absolute breaking point.
And Jillian, well, text says alcohol lends 30% courage. Pushed to the brink, he snaps. He grabs a sword from the wall.
A literal sword.
No.
We have gone from a birthday toast to a man waving a sword.
He declares, "Don't bother with suicide. I'm desperate too. I'll kill everyone and pay with my life to clean a slate." It is absolute bedlam.
And this is what finally breaks the fever, isn't it? The audience arrives.
Yes. The noise is so loud that Yushi and the others come running. And this is the moment Fengjie's survival instinct kicks in. She sees the sword. She sees the witnesses.
The splashy phoenix persona just vanishes.
Instantly. She drops the aggression, she starts crying, playing the victim now, and runs out of the room, heading straight for Grandmother Gia's quarters.
Sanctuary.
Yes. She runs to the ultimate authority figure, leaving the mess, the sword, and the battered Pinger behind her.
So why is she running to Grandmother Gia the matriarch in such a complete panic?
Well, the stakes are incredibly high for her. She's just caught her husband, Gia cheating. But that's not enough. She needs to escalate it to get the matriarch involved.
So she makes a bigger claim.
A much bigger claim. She says she overheard Gia plotting with his lover, and she says they're planning to poison her, literally kill her with poison so they can promote Pinger.
And Pinger is her chief maid, right?
Chief maid and also Gia concubine. She's in this really tricky spot. So Fengjie is basically framing this as a coup.
Wow, an assassination plot. That's a heavy accusation.
And then Gia enters the chat, and he is not exactly calming things down.
Not at all. The text says he's wielding a sword, with this whole crowd of terrified servants trailing him. He's drunk, and he's counting on the fact that the matriarch always spoils him.
Yeah, he's yelling that she indulges Fengjie too much, that Fengjie's bad and he has to discipline her. It gets so bad that the older women, Lady Jing and Lady Wang, have to physically step in.
I love that detail. These, dignified older ladies having to wrestle a sword away from a drunk guy.
Lady Xing actually has to grab the sword and just yell at him to get out. It's total pandemonium.
Okay, but this is where it gets really fascinating from a social perspective. Once Gia is kicked out, Grandmother Gia gives her verdict.
She's the Supreme Court of the family. Her word is law.
And this is where a modern reader just does a double take. You expect her to be furious, but she's surprisingly chill.
Chill is putting it mildly. She laughs. She dismisses the whole thing as trivial.
Trivial. Her grandson was just waving a weapon around.
She blames it on youth and alcohol. She uses this really memorable phrase. She compares young men to greedy cats.
Right, greedy cats.
She basically asks the whole room, what high-born young man doesn't behave like a greedy cat? She puts it all in the booze, says he got jealous. She just completely normalizes the infidelity.
Boys will be boys. 18th century style. So what does that mean? Is she just letting him off the hook?
She's managing the social stability of the house. It's all about face. Notice what she does next. She tells Fengjie not to shame him any further today. But she promises tomorrow she'll make Gia apologize.
It's about the timing.
Exactly. Humiliating him now while he's drunk in front of all the servants, that destroys the family hierarchy. The whole system crumbles. But if she waits until he's sober, she can enforce an apology behind closed doors.
She's prioritizing the system over the actual problem.
Cold, but effective. But there's one person who really got the short end of the stick in all this, and that's Pinger.
The maid who got dragged into it.
Exactly. Fengjie was furious and hit Pinger. Then Jillian, drunk and embarrassed, also beat Pinger. She was the punching bag for both of them.
Yeah, the text is clear. She was innocent, but caught in the middle.
And the matriarch is sharp enough to see that. Even while she's downplaying the affair with the whole greedy cat thing, she spots the injustice done to Pinger. She realizes Pinger has lost face.
So she sends a messenger.
She sends her maid, Amber, to go find Pinger. And the message Amber carries is crucial. She's told to announce to everyone that the matriarch knows Pinger was wronged and that no one is allowed to bully her.
So she's publicly restoring her status, vindicating her, which brings us to Pinger herself. She's been dragged off to the garden, and she's just sobbing. I mean, of course she is. And this is where we get some advice from another character, Subo Chai.
Bao Chai. Always the voice of pragmatic reason.
Her advice is so logical. She tells Pinger, look, Fengjie is usually good to you. This was just the alcohol. If you stay angry now, you're basically invalidating all the kindness she's ever shown you.
It feels a little clinical, doesn't it? Like transactional.
It feels very HR department,
Yeah.
She hit you, but she's usually nice, so let's move on.
Totally. But Pinger says something interesting. She says she's not actually angry at Fengjie. She feels wronged because she was innocent, and the other woman used her as a scapegoat to cause trouble.
It's the injustice, the feeling of being a pawn in their game.
That's what hurts her. But then someone else steps in and just changes the entire vibe of the day.
Enter Baiyu.
Yes. Baiyu invites Pinger to his quarters, the Happy Red Court. And this is really significant because Baiyu has always wanted to be kind to Pinger, but he never could be.
Why not? They live in the same house.
because she's always too busy with Fengjie, or she's too guarded because she's also Jilian's concubine. Bayu says he stays away to avoid starting gossip. But today, the normal rules are suspended because of the chaos. He finally has an excuse to serve her.
Serve her. That's a really key word. He wants to help her, not use her. And this brings us to the makeover scene.
It's like this whole restoration ritual. Pimmer is a mess. Her clothes are stained. Her makeup is ruined from crying.
And Baoyu just goes into full crisis management mode.
First, the clothes. His maid offers fresh ones, but Baoyu insists on ironing Penger's original clothes himself. But the real deep dive, and where the text gets so incredibly technical, is the makeup.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when Baoyu offers her powder, he specifically tells her not to use the normal stuff. He says, this isn't lead powder.
Right, which is a huge historical detail. Standard face powder at the time, even the expensive kind, was full of lead. We know now how toxic that is, but even then, it was heavy, it was gritty. Over time, it would make your skin look dull or even blue.
So Baoyu's like, don't put that toxic stuff on your face. What does he offer her instead?
He has a special powder made from the 4 o'clock flower, which is purple jasmine. And the text gives us the recipe. They take the seeds, grind them up.
But it's not just crushed seeds, right? There's more to it.
No, they steam the ground seeds with spices and fragrances. And this method creates a powder the text describes as light, white, and red fragrant. The key is the texture. It's moisturizing. It doesn't cake on your skin.
Sounds like something you'd buy at a boutique beauty counter for like $100 today. Botanical, non-comedogenic setting powder.
It's exactly that. But then comes the rouge. And this part blew my mind. It's not a powder or one of those paper sheets.
No, this is next-level cosmetic chemistry.
He opens this tiny white jade box. Notice the packaging: white jade, super luxurious, cool to the touch. Inside is what looks like a rose balm or a cream.
And the process for making it is so specific.
Bayu explains it. They take fresh rose juice, not dried petals, fresh juice. And instead of boiling it down, which would kill the scent, they filter it through silk to remove all the pulp.
So you just get the pure pigment and oils.
Precisely. Then they steam it with floral dew, which is basically a hydrosol. This creates this hyper-concentrated balm.
And the way you apply it is crazy.
He tells her to use a tiny hairpin. You just pick up a speck the size of a mustard seed, you put it in your palm with a drop of water, and melt it with your body heat.
It's heat activated.
It is. You create this emulsion in your hand, and that one tiny speck is enough color for your lips and a flush for your whole face. The text says it leaves the skin sweet and fragrant. It's not just makeup, it's skincare.
So Pinker uses this jasmine powder and this rose balm, and she's transformed. She looks fresh again, and Bayu adds one last touch.
He takes a pair of bamboo scissors. Again, notice the material. Bamboo, not cold steel like Jillian's sword.
Good point.
And he clips a twin-stemmed autumn orchid and puts it in her hair.
It's a complete 180 from the violence earlier. But I have to ask, why? Why is Bayu doing all this? Is he just flirting? Because, to a modern ear, a guy fixing a girl's makeup sounds like a move.
Well, if we look at his internal monologue in the text, it's pretty clear it's not sexual desire. It's a deep, almost philosophical empathy. He's thinking about the men in his life versus the women.
Right, and he has some strong opinions about Jilian.
He sees Jilian as vulgar, a lustful fool who doesn't know how to nourish beauty. He sees Jilian as someone who just consumes women like a greedy cat.
And he sees Pinger as this tragic, clever, handsome figure.
Yeah, he thinks about how hard her life must be, stuck between the fierce Fengjie and the vulgar Jilian.
And that realization actually makes him cry.
It does. It's such a standout moment. He's alone for a second while Pinger is washing her face, and he just starts weeping. He's thinking about how she's an orphan.
No family.
No parents, no siblings, all alone. She serves these difficult masters perfectly, and her reward is getting beaten and humiliated. He feels the weight of her existence, what he calls her thin fate.
And what does he do with that feeling? He doesn't just sit there. He does her laundry.
It's the act of service. He irons her clothes. He sees her handkerchief, which is stained with her tears and that old, ruined makeup from the fight.
And he washes it.
He washes it himself by hand. And there's something so intimate about washing someone's tear-stained handkerchief. He's physically washing away the evidence of her trauma.
The text says he feels both happy and sad doing it.
Happy that he finally got this chance to care for her, to exhaust his heart for her, but sad because he knows it's temporary. He can fix her makeup, but he can't fix her life. She has to go back to them.
It's such a stark contrast to everyone else. The matriarch managed the politics. Bao Chai gave logical advice, but Bai Yu just wanted to make her feel human again.
Exactly. Okay, let's just unpack this for a second. I want you to imagine waking up. Yesterday was just absolute chaos. Jilian, the husband, was caught cheating. Shifeng, his wife, the Phoenix, went into a complete jealous rage. And Pinger, her loyal aide, got slapped by both of them in the crossfire. Just a disaster.
A total meltdown. And now it's the next morning. The text gives us this really stark image of Jilian. He slept alone in this cold, quiet room. He wakes up, the alcohol's worn off, and all he's left with is just regret.
That horrible clarity of the hangover, it's the worst part.
Yeah. He feels the whole thing was caseless. He's thinking, why on earth did I do that? But he doesn't get to hide under the covers. Lady Jing, his stepmother, walks in.
And she's not there with a glass of water and some aspirin.
Not at all. She's there to summon him to the highest court in the land, Grandma Jia, the matriarch.
This feels like being called to the principal's office if the principal also controlled your allowance, your reputation, your entire future.
That's a very fair comparison. Jia knows he's in deep, deep trouble. He goes to Grandma Jia, and the first thing he does is kneel. He tries to play it cool, though.
Oh, of course.
He puts on a smile and says, I drank too much yesterday. I disturbed your peace, old ancestor. I'm here to accept my punishment.
He's trying to breeze right past it, like, oops, had a few too many, my bad.
Trying to minimize it? 100%. But Grandma Jia, she is having none of it. And this is where the language gets so interesting. She doesn't just say, you were drunk. She accuses him of pouring yellow soup down his throat.
Yellow soup. I saw that in the notes. Is that just a weird translation or something?
No, it's a specific term. Huang Tang. It's a derogatory term for alcohol, and it is very, very specific.
It sounds gross.
It's meant to. It's visceral. It's supposed to evoke, bodily fluids, waste. She's essentially saying, you filled yourself with filth. She's not romanticizing the wine. She's calling it swill. And then she says, because of this soup, he acted like a corpse.
A corpse. Wow, that's heavy.
She's stripping him of his humanity. She's saying, you weren't a person. You were a dead body that just suddenly woke up and started beating people. But here's the key insight. Grandma Jia isn't actually lecturing him about morality. She's lecturing him about aesthetics.
Wait, explain that. She doesn't care that he cheated on his wife.
Not really. I mean, in this era, for a man of his status, affairs were common. Her issue isn't the infidelity. It's that he was dirty.
Yeah.
That he was smelly. She uses this great idiom, you steal chickens and pet dogs.
Which means what exactly?
It's slang for having these low-class, trashy affairs with people completely beneath his station. She's basically asking him, aren't you ashamed? You come from this great noble house, and you're dragging this kind of behavior into our home.
So it's all about brand management. She's saying, stop embarrassing the family logo.
That is the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about the dignity of the clan. She even points out that he has Jifeng and Pinger at home. Two sophisticated, beautiful women, and yet he's going out looking for dirty things. It's an aesthetic offense to her.
And then she drops the ultimatum.
It's so simple. She says, if you have me in your eyes, meaning if you respect my authority at all, you will apologize to your wife and take her home. If not, get out. Don't even bother kneeling to me.
It's just so interesting to see the power dynamic. Jilian is the husband. Technically, in a patriarchal society, he's the boss.
But not here. Grandma Jia overrules everything. She is the apex predator of this household. And Jilian, he's a pragmatist. The text says he has a belly full of grievances, so deep down he still thinks he's right.
Of course he does.
But he dares not speak. He knows that apologizing is just the fastest way to make this whole headache go away.
So he swallows his pride. He turns to look at his wife, Shifeng. Now, usually, Shifeng is the Phoenix. She's glamorous, she's sharp, she's terrifying, covered in jewels. But this morning,
she's a complete wreck.
Yeah.
She hasn't washed her face, there's no makeup, her eyes are all swollen from crying. The text describes her as having a yellow face, just sallow and unadorned.
And you'd think Jilian, the guy who's always chasing after glamorous affairs, would be kind of repulsed by this messy version of his wife.
You would think so. But we get this really surprising psychological twist. He looks at her and finds her pitiable and lovable. The text actually suggests he finds this vulnerable, broken version of her more attractive than her usual armored self.
That sounds a little bit toxic, like he likes her better when she's defeated.
It's absolutely about power. When she's the Phoenix, she's intimidating. She challenges him. When she's crying and she's a mess, she's human. She's manageable. So all of a sudden, apologizing doesn't seem so hard. He bows to her and says, It was my fault. Second mistress, please forgive me.
And then the whole room just explodes in laughter, and Grandma just steps in to seal the deal.
She plays the mediator brilliantly. She says to Shifeng, don't be angry anymore. If you hold a grudge now, I'll be angry with you.
Right. Forced reconciliation. Kiss and make up or else I'm coming for you.
Effectively, yeah. Shifeng has to accept the peace deal to save everyone's face. But there's a third person in this triangle that we haven't really talked about yet.
Pinger.
Pinger, the aide, the one who actually got hit by both of them yesterday.
Right, the actual collateral damage in all this.
So Grandma Gia orders the couple to go comfort Pinger. And this leads us to what I think is one of the most cynical internal monologues in the entire book.
Okay.
Jilin goes over to apologize to Pinger, but the text lets us hear what he's actually thinking.
Lay it on me.
He thinks, wife is not as good as concubine. Concubine is not as good as stolen affair.
Wow, stolen affair.
Yeah. It's the hierarchy of thrill, right? The wife is duty, the concubine is available. But the stolen thing, the illicit thing, that's the best. So even while he's in the middle of apologizing, he is validating his own bad behavior inside his own head.
But he does apologize out loud.
Oh yeah, he goes through the motions, he admits he and Jifeng were both wrong, and then Jifeng apologizes too. And for her, this moment actually feels kind of real. She realizes she was drunk, she listened to troublemakers, and she hurt the one person who was truly loyal to her. She cries and pulls Pinger up.
And Pinger. Does she buy it?
Pinger is the survivor. She immediately deflects. She blames the adulteress Bao Er's wife for causing all the trouble.
Blame the outsider, a classic move.
It's the safest move she can make. And Grandma G just wraps it all up with a decree. Anyone who mentions this incident again gets beaten with a walking stick.
Case closed. History rewritten. The happy couple goes back to their room.
But we have to see what happens when the door closes, because the private reality is usually where the truth is.
So they get back to their bedroom. Servants are gone. Does the fighting just start right back up?
Not fighting exactly.
Yeah.
It's more like a negotiation. Shifeng immediately starts complaining.
Yeah.
She says she looks like a Yama, the king of hell, or a Yaksa, a demon. She's mourning her lost dignity. She's saying, I've been humiliated by that woman. I have no face left to live.
She's fishing. She wants him to say, no, honey, you look beautiful. You're still the queen.
And he totally doesn't say that. He takes this very practical, almost business-like approach. He points out that a man, a master, knelt in public. He argues she has gained more than enough face from that act alone.
He's treating face like a bank account. Like, look, I made a deposit of 1 public kneeling, so your account is full. You can stop complaining now.
That's exactly how it works in their society. He uses this phrase, too much strength is not a good thing. He's basically telling her not to be greedy for dignity. He's done his part.
It works.
It works. They actually end up laughing it off.
It's incredible how resilient, or maybe just how shallow, their relationship is. They just normalize this insane dysfunction and slide right back into their routine.
That's the aristocracy for you.
Yeah.
Resilience through denial. But just when you think we're heading for like a sitcom ending,
The dark turn.
a servant rushes in with some news.
It's about Bauer's wife, isn't it? The woman Jialian was caught with.
She has hanged herself.
Whoa, okay. That escalated. We went from bad hangover and makeup trouble to suicide in like 2 pages.
And this is where the story just completely shifts from a domestic comedy to something much more like a crime thriller. A woman is dead because of their fight.
How do they react? They have to be horrified, right? I mean,
Their reactions are maybe the most telling part of this whole chapter. They're polar opposites, but they're both terrifying in their own way. Jifeng is just cold, ice cold. Her immediate reaction is, let her die.
let her die. She doesn't care at all.
She's not scared. In fact, she welcomes a lawsuit. He says if the family tries to sue, she'll just countersue for extortion for using a corpse to blackmail. She refuses to pay a single penny. I have no money, and even if I did, I wouldn't give it to them.
That is ruthless. She's just operating on pure spite.
She is, but Jialian, he's panicked. But he's not panicked about the tragedy. He's panicked about the PR nightmare. He wants this hushed up immediately.
So how does a wealthy nobleman in the 18th century cover up a suicide he caused? I'm guessing he doesn't call the authorities for a real investigation?
No, he calls his accountant and his connections. He completely ignores Shifeng's refusal to pay. He goes behind her back to the household steward, Lin Zixiao. This is the fix.
Okay, walk us through the mechanics of the fix. I want to know exactly how they make a body disappear, legally speaking.
Okay, first the silver. He promises 200 taels of silver for the funeral.
And contextualize that for us. Is 200 taels a lot of money?
Oh, it's a significant sum for a commoner family. It's enough to live on for years. It's basically shut-up money.
Okay.
But he doesn't just rely on the carrot. He brings out the stick.
The muscle.
He leverages his connection to Wang Zitang. That's Shifeng's uncle, a high-ranking military official. He calls in the police and the coroners. But they are not there to investigate the death. They are there to intimidate the family.
So you've got the victim's family, they're standing there, they're grieving, and suddenly the cops show up, but they're shaking hands with the guy who caused the suicide.
That's the reality of it. The family immediately realizes the game is rigged. The text says they swallowed their anger and stayed silent. They take the money because they know they have no chance against the Jia family's political machine.
What about the husband, Bao Er? I mean, his wife just died. Surely he's not okay with this.
This is maybe the darkest detail of all. Jillian buys him off too, gives him money, and promises to find him a good wife in the future to replace the dead one.
And he accepts that.
He doesn't just accept it. The text says he becomes happy.
What?
She has money now. He has face because the master is paying attention to him. He actually starts sucking up to Jillian again.
That is dystopian.
Yeah.
The wife was just an interchangeable part. She broke, so he gets a cash settlement and the promise of a new model.
It's dehumanizing in the absolute extreme. And there's one final detail about the money that you just can't miss. Jillian doesn't even pay for this out of his own pocket.
Let me guess. He charges it to the company card.
Pretty much. He tells the steward to write off the 200 taels as miscellaneous household expenses. Just, insert it into the running account.
So he's embezzling from the family estate to cover up the suicide of his mistress.
It is corruption all the way down. He uses the family's fortune to erase his own mistakes.
So the problem is solved. The body's buried, the family's paid off, the cops are managed, and we cut back to Shifeng and Jillian in their room.
Yeah, and Shifeng is interesting here. On the outside, she keeps up this tough act. She pretends not to care at all. But the text specifically notes that she feels uneasy inside.
A little crack in the armor.
Just a hairline crack. But then we see this moment of tenderness. She checks on Pinger's wounds again. She asks her if they still hurt.
It's such a wild contrast. In one breath, she's practically spitting on a dead woman's memory.
Yeah.
And in the next, it's, oh, let me check on your bruises, my dear Pinger.
It really shows the selective empathy of their class. Pinger is one of us, or at least she belongs to Jifeng. So she matters. Bauer's wife. She's just a disposal problem.
When you zoom out, this whole section is just terrifying. We started with a hangover and a makeup problem, and we ended with a dead body and a cooked ledger.
And that's the genius of Dream of the Red Chamber, right? It lures you in with all the glamour, the clothes, the poetry, the witty banter, and then it just pulls back the curtain and says, look at what's holding all this luxury up.